Hello and welcome to the Ethanol Producer Magazine podcast. I am your host, Anna Simet, and we are here live at the International Fuel Ethanol Workshop and Expo in Omaha. And I am here with Dave Lusignolo and Russell Key of Tranter. Dave and Russell, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks, Anna.
It's a pleasure to have you. So maybe let's start by having you guys tell us a little bit about Tranter and what you guys do there.
Well, I'm the ethanol sales manager for North America, and I have a couple of people underneath me that my team that we help manage and call on the ethanol plants direct. That's what we do. Been with Trainer for a while, almost 30 years. So it's been great working there. Just enjoy what I do.
And I'm Dave Lusignolo, Director of Aftermarket Sales for North America. Russell's on my team, based in Houston, Texas, where the factory is. And I've been with Tranter about 15 years.
My gosh, 15 and 30. Did you start when you were like 10 there?
No, not quite.
All right. Well, that's a long time to work somewhere. So it must be a great company.
It is a great company to work for.
So you guys, I noticed in your booth that you've highlighted your Farmersville Service Center. What is it about that service center that you want to emphasize?
Well, I'll tell you, when you go to an ethanol plant, it's almost always in a rural area. It's out in the country, out in the cornfields. And so when you go in these places, there's a certain spirit, certain character, certain attitude of, I would define it as country. And it's an attitude that says we're going to work through problems. We know what we need to do. We're competent to get it done. We're going to work hard and go home satisfied at the end of the day. It's a country attitude. And that character is captured perfectly in Farmersville. And that's really why we're trying to emphasize that. We want people to understand that if you're driving up 55 from St. Louis to Springfield, don't blink as you go through Farmersville or you'll miss it. But it's right there off the side of the highway, sitting in the middle of a cornfield. And it's been there for 20 years. This place is staffed with a team that's from all those little small towns around there, country folk who know how to deal with ethanol. They deal with it in a country way. For example, when shutdown season is coming, this team starts moving. They'll set up both gasketing lines. They'll start up a third gasketing line, and they're just starting to gasket those plates in anticipation of what's coming. So that when the first customer says, I'm ready for my plate pack, boom, it's out the door. It goes to that customer, and they start going out by the dozens. And when the old plate packs, the dirty ones come back, we just switch. Turn and burn, it's time to start cleaning. And so that's what this team does. It's what they've been doing for 20 years. And so, if you ask these people to characterize themselves, they'll say, look, we work hard with our hearts and with our backs, and we go home at the end of the day satisfied. And so we want to put that forward. We want our customers to know that if you got one of your units or one of your plate packs at the Farmersville Service Center, you don't need to call the sales guy. You can call Brian or Lori at that Farmersville Service Center. That's who they are. They love their customers, and we definitely think they deserve to be put forward.
Love that. Great answer. So we chatted last year on this podcast. What's new with Tranter? What are the highlights of the past year?
Well, we did a lot of expansions last year. It was very busy last year, and moving into 2025, we have created a little more added on, I should say, to our ethanol team. And that's one of the biggest things that's changed for us this year. We brought on an engineer that is going to be direct to the ethanol industry. And her name is Heidi Welsh. She's been around the ethanol industry for a little bit. And man, we're ecstatic to have her. She's great. She knows a lot of people, and she's great at networking. She's learning fast. Last year we talked about all the years that we have and the knowledge that we have in the ethanol industry. And part of that is we've got an engineer that's probably going to be retiring for too long. And so, to bring Heidi in and to learn all that from him and take that in, I think it's going to be great for our team. We're still looking for other people to come in and hopefully to help expand our team to cover better and get into these plants. And so it's been a great year. It's been an exciting year, and I'm excited to see what's coming.
It's awesome. So, can you guys explain where and how heat exchangers are used at ethanol plants?
Well, there's several different heat exchangers. Most of the ethanol plants, originally were built with probably about 15 to 22 heat exchangers, from the smallest ones to the biggest ones. And so that's grown. Plants expand, they add on different things, and they need heat exchangers. There's some plants that could probably have upwards of 30 heat exchangers in it now. And so with all the expansions that they do, and so you have, exchangers in beer mash coolers that, on the front end, um, that do the heating and cooling of the corn mash coming in and cooling it down, going to fermentation, where there's several other heat exchangers there in fermentation, that maintain the temperatures of the tanks for them. And then, you go up into distillation. There's probably, another 5 to 7, 8 heat exchangers up there in distillation that basically cool or condense and take the alcohol from a vapor to a liquid, and then it just that's pretty much the process of where they're at and what they do. It's just we have a lot of heat exchangers in these plants, and they just do the job.
Very well explained, Russell. So, I understand that effectively transferring heat can indirectly and positively impact various components of the stages of ethanol production. So, can you talk more about how producers can maximize these benefits?
Well, that's a great question. Russell just explained the heat exchangers are all over an ethanol plant. It's a big heat transfer situation. And if you want to maximize the benefits that you get in that heat exchanger, you almost have to change the way you think about maintaining that heat exchanger. Everybody looks at it differently. There are some who look at it in a reactive way that will maintain it when it needs it, when it breaks. Others want to get a little more proactive and they'll do a preventative maintenance, or even more advanced, a predictive maintenance. I'm going to service it before it needs to be repaired. But we think there's a next stage. In fact, we're unrolling this and we call it prescriptive maintenance. And in order to do that, you have to stop looking at the heat exchanger as an individual component that needs to be repaired at a certain time. You've got to think of that heat exchanger as a piece of a larger system, a revenue producing system that has costs associated with it. So that's what we're trying to do. And in order to do that, what we do is we bring in PhD heat transfer engineers to build a digital twin of the ethanol plant. Now, they already have a digital twin in the form of their DCS system, but this is different because this is about the heat exchangers. So you build the digital twin, and then you plug the operational data that you have taken from the system to see what's happening. And this digital twin looks at the heat exchangers in particular and can see when the performance is starting to degrade. And not only can it see when that performance is starting to degrade, it can predict why, because every different type of fouling has its own signature. And this software is built to understand what that signature is. If you understand that, then you can predict what will that fouling look like tomorrow, the next week, the next month. And you can make a decision about what you need to do with that heat exchanger. But at the same time, since we're looking at it systemically, we can see that as performance degrades in heat exchanger A, there is a downstream effect that costs money, that changes the operational parameters that the operators are having to deal with. So you can look at it systemically and say, if I clean the heat exchanger today, it will cost X, and I'll only get Y benefits, and make a decision based on a holistic systemic view. So this is a system that can help you do that. And we call it prescriptive because we help you decide which heat exchanger and when you should maintain. So when you have a difficult operational decision, like I have time to clean one heat exchanger or 4 heat exchangers during this shutdown, which 4 should they be and why? What would be the cost of deferring maintenance to the next shutdown? And you can make a programmatic decision that's fact-based about your maintenance. The system comes with an additional side benefit, and that is that once the data has been being gathered for about a year or so, you can rerun the past. Let's say you're considering whether you should expand one of your or replace one of your heat exchangers. We can change that heat exchanger in the twin, in the simulation, and rerun the past year to show you what it would have looked like if you had upgraded or replaced. And then that makes a really a strong argument for whether you should or shouldn't make that call. So that's the next evolution. We're not the term digital twin is not a Tranter term. It's popular right now. Predictive maintenance and AI. That's all happening right here with this system. I think that's fairly dramatic.
That is a super cool technology.
It is, and it does incorporate AI. I will say that because when we get measurements from the customer, this is my temperature, this is my pressure. There's going to be some slop in that measurement. It's not going to be 100% accurate. So you need to purify that data to a higher level of confidence. And AI can crunch those numbers and help us get to that acceptable level of confidence in the data so that you can make those decisions. And the system learns your system the longer it's installed and understands and makes more accurate predictions the longer it's in.
Very well explained, Dave. Really interesting stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap things up?
I don't really have anything.
You having a good
to
show?
that. Having
Busy?
a great show. It's been great. Been great to see everybody. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of traffic this year, so it's nice. It's been good.
I'll second that. I'll say we're grateful to you and the Ethanol Producer Magazine for putting on this show. It's important to the industry. We're proud to be sponsors of that, and we'll continue to be sponsors of that. And I got to agree with Russell. There's a different energy in the air this year. I don't know what it's about. It's kind of surprising, actually, but it's been a great show.
Yeah,
It really
and
has.
if you're not here, you should be.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Well, Dave and Russell, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, for being here at the show, for sponsoring, for everything.
Hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Anna.
And to our viewers, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Until next time.